Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Today, we are blessed with the presence of Debbie Meyer. Debbie has a company called Moving You Simply. In fact, I was so happy to meet up with Debbie because we have needed this type of organization to help so many seniors move, as well as people who inherit homes. It's such an enormous portion of the market right now where people will be out of state and they inherit a house and there's a house full of stuff and they just need a lot of help. So, and especially seniors, and then also potentially, I suppose, disabled people or people like that. Debbie, tell us a little bit more about your company and what it is you do.
Thank you, Darryl, for the introduction. My company is Moving You Simply. I am an LLC company, and I started my company about 18 and a half years ago. And I consider myself a move manager, whether you're a senior or married couple, doesn't matter what level you are, or the clientele, I should say. I move people locally and out of state, all over the United States. And I literally just take the stress off of anybody moving, and I make it seamless, painless. I do everything from soups to nuts, as they say. I consider myself a buffet line. We downsize, we sort, we pack, we do the unpacking. I don't personally own the moving trucks. I use the same moving company. We have a great relationship. And your move is the only one on that truck, even when I go out of state.
What inspired you to start doing this?
So I've always been the type of person, I always had the job and always a job with a certain income, white picket fence. And then in 2006, I was working for a national mortgage company that I did not like, but it was paying the bills. And I was doing all the space planning for all their pop-up loan mortgage offices on every corner. And the same year, my mom had cancer and she passed on October 16th, 2006. The company I was working with laid off 2,600 people, and I was one of them. And I just felt like she was out of her misery pain, and so was I. So I was in Arizona, where I still reside, but I am moving to California in a few months. But anyway, so I went back home and I helped my dad do what you needed to do to clear out my mom's things. And I've always helped people downsize or help them pack or organize. And so my sister said, instead of going back to corporate world, my girlfriend in Santa Cruz is working with seniors doing the senior move thing. And I just threw caution to the wind and I dove into it. I never marketed myself, never, always just had an 8-to-5 job. And I just threw myself into it, like I said. And I learned how to market myself. I'm all referral based. If somebody said, go talk to Darryl Jones over at the real estate company, I went and talked to him. I talked to everybody and I just started to build a business and I've never looked back.
Now, even though you're in Arizona, you work obviously moves kind of all over the place, but tell me more about what else do you do besides the packing and organizing the property? Actually, that's a lot, frankly. So how does this work? What happens? Someone gives you a call and then take us from there.
So if, Darryl, you called me into your home and you were going to be moving to a senior community locally or, to Tennessee, I come in and I do a survey and I go room to room with you and I ask you, what are your favorite things you would like to see moved? And I usually know the floor plan of the community, or maybe you have a floor plan, and we talk about what your wishes are and how they'll fit. I try to mirror every new apartment or home the same way as you're coming out of it. I go through the details of what part I am. I'm the move manager. I oversee every aspect of it.
When you say mirror, so you literally will look at the rooms and try to just do that same setup.
Right.
And let's call it the senior community. So, right. And that, I'm guessing that's very helpful because it familiarizes people with things, and especially the senior community, which is huge, is moving in record numbers now. I'm guessing that's exactly why you do it.
Exactly. And a lot of times people either don't recognize they have dementia, or they do have dementia, or they're in Alzheimer's stage, and to familiarize themselves how their bed is laid out, that kind of keep the same routine. And also for the clients who are resisting to move, it's not their choice. So I like to keep it as familiar as possible because of that aspect of it. And then once I do a survey with my mover, so he understands how many boxes would be needed, how much manpower he would need after I get to the point where I need to call him in. Now we're going to pack. load, and offload. And then I do the full unpacking down to the toothbrush in the cup, clean sheets on the bed. Your shirts are hung by, short sleeve, long sleeve. And I truly make it white glove, turnkey, like a model home. And people are super impressed by that. The dishes are where you want them to be. Your trinkets are back in the curio cabinet. I take pictures and I label those shelves so they go back the same way as we packed them. And people are overwhelmed by the process, and not in a sad way. They're overwhelmed by surprise how I did it in such a short amount of time.
This type of service, like I said, when I had met you and we talked about this, I thought, wow, this is just an amazing service. And I've had a lot of clients that would love this service. Another thing too, is I've had a lot of clients who inherit homes. Do you handle a lot of people who inherit homes?
Yes.
Because it's really challenging. I've had people, for example, unexpected passings of relatives, and they inherit this house full of stuff. And that too can become quite challenging. So you would go in there and also organize that and kind of entrust them with, or they entrust you, I should say, with just deciding what may be trash, what's personal stuff. In fact, on personal stuff, how do you handle sensitive personal items? Do you ever get that with people?
I get a client call from, Utah, and they don't want to come in. And I can FaceTime room to room, or they already have a list, or I do meet them at the house. We go room to room and they tag what they want. And I will get it shipped UPS to whatever destination. And then they give me free reins to do what I need to do. And I work with a liquidator, and I will literally go through every drawer. I will fan magazines because they have put stock certificates in magazines. And I will go room to room, closet to closet, cabinet to cabinet, and I will sort truly what is trash and truly what is liquidated from the gentleman that works with me. And also, if I find anything that looks of value, I will FaceTime with the client and I will show them, do you want this? I found a diamond earring behind the dresser. I found gold watches. I found Rolex.
Is that the one you're wearing right there?
Yeah,
the diamond earring? I'm just kidding. And then
yeah, right. No.
I know I had a client that found $60,000 worth of, I guess it was a stock certificate or something that they had no idea. And it was funny because it was their dad's house where they found that. They were both in their 90s. And then I was helping them with their mom's house, and they were telling me about how in their dad's house they found that. In fact, that was why they said it was taking so long, because they wanted to make sure they went through everything. And boy, golly, did it. It took forever. That takes, I'm sure someone like you that's used to it and professional and realizes how to do it, you speed up the process dramatically.
Oh, absolutely. My thing is, I don't want to live with the client for 3 or 4 weeks. I like to get in and get out. And the trash, I have a private trash dumpster gentleman who comes in, and I put all the trash in one area. He scoops it up with his dumpster and takes it away. It's all methodically done on a timeline. I have, adult children who are just amazed how, I guess, truly honest I am, because it's hard to entrust somebody that you've never met. But when I show them that behind a picture frame, I find thousands of dollars. We had to take a Rolodex desk apart. There was $2,000 tucked away underneath a shelf. So, it's not mine. They hired me to do an honest job, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is it a flat fee or is it an hourly? How's that work? I know it'll vary with different jobs, I'm guessing.
Right. So every job is different, and I go out, do a complimentary 30-minute, 45-minute consultation, and then I can size it up. And at that time, tell them it's going to take 30 hours, 45 hours, with the added cost for my trash guy to be on site. And then I tell them that my liquidator, he will give you literally, unfortunately, pennies on the dollar, because there's abundance of stuff that people have gotten rid of in the last 4 or 5 years. And there's some donation places that won't even take any more items at this point here in Arizona. I pack up whatever he is going to take. He gives them XYZ dollars and he takes it away. I leave the house totally empty, down to the floor. Cabinets are empty. It's ready for the real estate agent to come in. Also, I help real estate agents who need help with the client to depersonalize. And a lot of times the clients are resistant on that because they like their family pictures of the last 10 years in Hawaii. And I try to, with the real estate agent, explain to them, you want someone to come in here and say, wow, my couch is going to fit here. Look at the backyard. You don't want them to remember your house with, 10 years of family photos from Hawaii. You want them to remember the house as if they were going to be living in it.
That's hugely important. So you're kind of a one-stop shop too.
I am.
So what would you say the majority of your clients are? Are they people who inherit houses or more elderly? I noticed where you cater to even people who just they're moving. They don't have to be elderly
Right.
or need help. They just want someone else to do it. So
Right.
you get a little bit of everything? How's that?
I don't age discriminate. No job is too small or too big. There's been times where I've never met the adult child. He just calls up and he says, we came and got mom and dad because we figured that there were some health issues. They give me carte blanche, for a better word, to go in and do what I'm supposed to do and never meet them.
Let's go ahead and walk through that. Let's say they call you about a house in California and they're in, name a state, Nevada. And you literally will go into Nevada I guess it wouldn't be specifically to this case, but when someone's moving to a different state, you will also go to that state and unpack them. You touched
Right.
a little bit about that.
Right. So if the client is moving, if I'm in Arizona or California, wherever I'm at the moment, if they're moving to a different state, I do the exact same thing. I first go in there, meet and greet. I sort what they want. I sort what's going to family and friends, what's going to donation, what's going to be liquidated, and get it on the moving truck. That is, again, only your load is on that truck. I don't use large van lines. I used to in the past, and it became a disaster. Their shipment didn't get there on time. When I use the moving company that will take only your load, if I tell them to be in New York at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, boom, they're there at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. You're not waiting 7 hours or 7 more days for it to show up. So then once they leave the resident, I get on a plane with my crew and I fly to destination and, hotel, rental car, the whole 9 yards. And I receive the truck and the client is usually there and we do the full unpacking as if it was a local move.
Do you have employees or people that help you out? I mean, other than the subcontractors, the moving company and the people that do the liquidation.
I have, to be honest, I used to have 7 people at one time. And over the years, I was babysitting and then, they weren't having a good time together. And now I'm down to one woman and she and we can unpack 400 boxes in 2 days and put it away. And it goes a lot smoother, a lot less stress. There's a lot of stress to keep the client intact and the family members who know more than I do. And then, their opinion, their input. And there's been times where I've had to nicely ask, I only need one extra family member here. I don't need the army here. And when we're all settled and we're gone, please invite the family. And if you want to move tchotchkes around all day long, that's awesome. My goal is to get you set up as we had talked about. And when I leave, I know things are going to get moved around, but at least everything's unpacked. It's where it should be. And the trash is out of there.
And this next question is probably going to be a really hard one to answer, but do you have a typical, let's say if you get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house, and it's just a normally furnished house, how long does the process typically take to pack that up?
With the mover's assistance, I can usually pack one of those houses up in a day and a half.
Wow. That's amazing.
Because I've done all the pre-pack, all the pre-sorting. So when my movers come in, which are also packers, my team and I will pack up to a certain amount. And then I do have the moving company who is going to move the load come in and finish. Because when they come in, they don't want to stand around while I ask the client, do you want the pink chair or the yellow chair? They love working with me from the aspect when they get on site to pack, boom, it's all tagged, it's all labeled. They know exactly what's going to get in that box.
Well, that makes sense. So there's that aspect. And then the pre-packing portion, if they say you've done your evaluation, 45 minutes, let's say you do the interview, you talk, you kind of get an idea of exactly what you need to do. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 2-bath house, 2,000 square feet. And then to pre-pack it, I don't know. I know this is a hard question because every house is so different. Is there a couple days to get that part organized, or a week or 2 weeks?
I can do it in a day.
Really? Uh-oh.
So my pre-pack, I should say I average 1 day. I'm glad you brought this up, Darryl. On my survey, I can evaluate in a nanosecond, if you will, where the client is mentally and emotionally. Are they healthy or not healthy without even asking any personal questions? During the interview, if we keep going in the same circle, okay, there might be a little memory there, so I'm going to have to reel it back and slow it down. And so most likely my pre-sort and my pre-pack are going to be 2 days, because I will never come in like gangbusters and say, boom, we have 1 day to do this. And there have been times where I may have miscalculated and I see by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we need another day. I'll push everything out another day. I'm always about safety first and the well-being of my client. And I also have to deal with the daughter or the daughter-in-law, again, who remodeled a bathroom 8 years ago. And, she's going to tell me how to do my job. And I do listen to what her concerns are. But at the end of the day, that does slow it down and it adds more hours. And I'm not there to add more billing hours for no reason. So I gently integrate that person, or we kind of have a talk and they understand. And, I just want to make it fun for everybody, especially the client when they're resisting to even move. I don't want any sadness. I don't want any, no, you can't take, no, you can't take, because a lot of adult children or grandchildren, whomever is involved, will say, you don't need this, you don't need this. And that will spin it backwards, because I always say, never use the word no. Just say, we will try to see if it fits.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you have a technique to handle that situation?
Yes. I'll take the other parties aside and say, please don't say no. We can have 1 or 2 conversations. If it's still adamant by the client that they want to take it, I always say, let's take it. If it doesn't fit, then you understand we'll have to donate it on the other end. And all they want to know mentally is that they get that piece of whatever it is. Even if it's a piece of furniture that's not going to fit, I will always have a resolution on the other end. My mover will take it back on the truck and donate it. I'll get a receipt.
Now, what makes your company unique compared to traditional moving companies?
Because traditional moving companies, all they want to do is come in, pack, load it, and leave it on the other end. They don't want to unpack it. They don't want to put the toilet paper away. They don't want to have to think about how to squeeze, 18 cans of Crisco oil into the pantry. A lot of times I will go out and get organizing baskets to make things fit. I will label baskets. I'll label containers. I handhold from the beginning. I listen to their needs. We handle every client as if it truly is our own parent or grandparent. And we do it with integrity, compassion, and patience. Movers just want to come in, like I said, pack, load, and go, and on to the next.
Yeah, I'm guessing, is there a common thing that people tend to want to keep and they end up really needing it? Is that?
Well, they need to stay at a Costco and Walmart, because how many bread makers do you need that are still in the box? But they need them all. When I open up a cabinet, whether it's in the garage or in the pantry, the deeper something's way back against the very back wall of that cabinet, that's the thing I need that, but you haven't seen it in 10 years. Oh, but I need it. Okay, well, I'll take it, and it may not fit.
I was told once that I think my wife was watching Oprah and said that one thing that she suggested was take a picture of something, because sometimes it's all they need.
For bigger items, if there's 50 photo albums, take pictures. The other thing is the china. Nobody wants your china. Nobody wants your crystal. So I suggest that the client take 6 place settings and start using it. And then the client's usually adamant that somebody in the family take it. Nobody wants it. I take that person aside and I say, please take it. I don't care if you donate it on the way back to your house, but as long as they feel that you took something, that's all that they want.
It seems as though a very common item that people think is valuable. However, it's just not.
It's not. And there's no value to sell it, really.
How do you ensure the safety and the security of clients' belongings during the move?
Jewelry, we can take pictures of the jewelry and they sign off on it. And I usually will put that in my car, the few boxes of jewelry or whatever, so they know I'm taking full responsibility for it. If there's high-end art, I have a third-party crating company that will come in and crate it. I did a move many years ago. She was a Cherokee Indian, full blood. She was moving from Arizona. She was 87 years old. She was moving from Arizona back to Utah because she wanted to live out her days there and be buried on the Indian reservation. I did everything I did: downsize, sort, pack, get it on the truck. And I said to her, I will take you and your cat to the airport. I'll get a wheelchair, make sure you both get on the plane safely. And she said to me, the cat doesn't fly. So I said to her, So you want me to drive you? And she said, yes. She said, I want you to get the biggest SUV and we're going to go through all the Indian country from Chandler, Arizona to Taylorsville, Utah. And I did that.
Well, if that ever happens again, you got to let me know. I'd love to go on that tour.
And inside that, in the SUV, we had full Indian chief feather band head things. I mean, very things that she would never have go on a moving truck or whatever. And so that SUV I couldn't see out the rearview mirror.
That is so cool. My grandma was half Cherokee, so we have some Indian blood. In fact, with my grandma, when she used to go out and dance, it would start raining.
Something that not valuable to me is valuable to them, and I read it immediately. I don't make fun of it, and I will figure out the solution. I did a move off of Orcas Island, which is 3 miles south of the Canadian border, in the height of the pandemic. This is how I make solutions. I had 5 people lined up, myself and the crating company. We were all going to fly to Seattle, rent a car, do the ferry, get on this island, create 50 pieces of artwork, including 2 totem poles. And as we got closer to the date we were leaving, everything was getting shut down. Last minute, I had to rent an SUV. We had to rent a Penske truck. We went in and out of 4 different states to get up there, avoid all the COVID hotels and everything, and got 50 pieces crated.
What's the most common challenges that you're facing with the elderly who are moving?
They don't want to move because they've been in their house 50 plus years. All their friends have passed away within a 10-mile radius. They're afraid to leave their comfort of their home and their things because they're from the Depression era still. And it's a lifetime of memories and hard work to get those items. And at the end of the day, I should be a marketing person at a senior community, because I start to sell them how great it's going to be when they move to their senior community, and they all have ambassadors who welcome them on their floors, and they will have people take them to lunch, and there's all these activities. And I even tell the family that, they're in a depression mode now because they haven't really left the house. They shouldn't drive, or they're not driving. And this is a whole new life. And I joke that it's like going back to the dorm. You get 3 meals a day, you get activities, they have happy hour, you get to go on trips. I've seen the lowest point of clients, and once they get immersed into the building, they are living their best life again.
Do you have a lot of associates? For example, you talked a little bit about high-end artwork. What happens with high-end artwork? You have someone that handles that type of work?
Right. So I have a certified appraiser, and he takes it sometimes to New York, or in Dallas. Sometimes there's huge auctions for high-end artwork. So I turn all that over to him. But most of it, even in the higher-end homes, it's just an abundance of dishes or glasses or bedding, or...
But if they have stuff like that, or jewelry even, what about jewelry? Because jewelry, gosh...
Jewelry, usually they're not wanting to sell the high-end jewelry, but what people don't realize, costume jewelry is worth a lot now.
Oh,
so costume jewelry can bring a lot of money, and people think, oh, I'll just donate it. But, everything's so retro now, and people they wear costume jewelry all day long.
Interesting. That's beautiful. So what advice do you have with families preparing to move elderly or loved ones? How do you help families balance respecting their loved ones' wishes while making these practical decisions?
They need to first take a step back, because their lives are very busy. 9 times out of 10, they don't even live in the same community or the same state, I should say. And they are on speed dial. They just want to come in, get them packed, get them moved, and be done with them, to be honest with you. And it's very, very sad. I see a lot of diabolical relationships, and I'm not a therapist. And there's been times where I feel like I'm more of a therapist and a referee. You have to be kind. You have to be patient. They're scared. It's a new chapter for them. They're moving slower. You have to respect that there might be health issues, some memory issues. I had a bad situation once where the daughter and the client got into a physical fight. I had to stop everything, get security in the community. They ended up calling Phoenix PD. I had to shut down everything for 4 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was bad. It's not my first rodeo like that, but it happens. it happens. I'm just a moving manager here. I'm not like, trained professionally to like, stop Mike Tyson going at it. But it's not always smooth sailing for me, but I make it smooth as possible, seamless and stressless, like I said before, for the client. Things behind, the scenes that I don't bring to their attention, or I see the dynamic with a sister and a sister outside. I ask them to please, take it away from the building. It's all about taking care of your parents and doing the right thing. And I tell people, your parents did the best they could to raise you. You got to respect that. If there was issues prior in your childhood, I'm sorry, but let's just respect where they are today and be thankful you still have them, because I don't have my parents, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, they're still your parents.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I tell you, Debbie, I'm so grateful that you were able to join us for this podcast, because I have seen personally, being in real estate for this long, an enormous number of people who would love to have someone like you, especially people who inherit homes or elderly people. In fact, frankly, if it wasn't for people inheriting homes, we'd probably have 25% fewer homes on the market. So it's an enormous portion of our market. Now, if any of our listeners want to contact you, Debbie, with Moving You Simply, that's the name of your company, Moving You Simply, what's the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is my cell number, 480-216-5387. And if I don't answer you, I will return the call as soon as I can. And I kind of sometimes tell people I'm like an ER doctor. I answer my phone even on the weekends, because you never know what someone's situation is. And I always want to calm them down before the storm. Hopefully there won't be a storm. But, nobody knows when they're going to pass. And sometimes the adult child is so overwhelmed that her first thing is, how am I going to get the house cleaned out?
No, that's I see that all the time. So, Debbie, does one that does what you do need to belong to any associations, or what kind of credentials do you have?
You don't need to belong to any association, and you don't need to be insured or bonded, but I like to be above board. That's why I have an LLC. I am insured and bonded. I belong to the National Association of Senior Move Managers, which is worldwide. There's like 1,300 of us. And this is how I get a lot of out-of-state moves and inbound moves. And I also sat on the executive board for several years. And people can also go to my website, which is www.movingyousimply.com.
Say that again. Moving EU. Say that again.
movingyousimply.com.
Movingyousimply.com. The word is you, not the letter U.
Correct.
Got it.
And I appreciate the opportunity. It's like to walk, like I'm working with a real estate agent right now, and we brainstorm for an hour how this whole diabolical situation is going to play out. So that's why I love working with real estate agents. They get me. And a lot of real estate agents want to do also what I do. And I say to them, how can you be a full-time real estate agent and do what I do?
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I tried it once years ago. I have a daughter who's in her early 20s. She's working for me at the time. She's now in her later 20s. And I said, we can get rid of this stuff. We'll sell it on eBay or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. It delayed things well over a month. It was so hard. So I tell you, I will never, ever offer. That's why, in fact, one of the reasons I'm so happy to meet you and have you on the show, because I'm not going to ever do that again. It's you don't know what you're biting off, and then it's too late. So
you know what I say to people when I meet people and they say, my daughter's got a son who's got a friend who's got a truck, a U-Haul, and we're only going to hire you for this or that. You know what? Knock yourself out. And then I get the phone call the day of the move. Nobody showed up, and I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I'm booked or whatever. And I meant to say this, and I think I started, but I didn't finish it. I consider myself a buffet line. They can pick and choose whatever services they want. It's not all or nothing with me. But when I get the daughter and the truck and the U-Haul, I actually kind of like reel myself back and gently say, I'm not the one for you. Because when you start out that way in a survey, thank you for the invite. No. And with a real estate agent, I had a real estate agent call me the other day, and I never heard back from her, but she starts in, well, I'm helping her already sort and organize. And what do you charge? And I said, I don't ballpark over the.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And so at the end of the day, she was pushing me up against the wall. So I put random number out there because I knew she wasn't going to call me back. And you know what? You're not a full-time agent. You're a part-time mommy, whatever. And God bless you. But this is a full-time job for me.
Oh, people have no idea how hard it is.
And and a real estate agent like yourself, it's not a part-time job. It's my only bread and butter. It's a single income. And I'm proud of how much I've built in the last 18 years by myself. And I take it seriously.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Listeners, please give her a call if you can find her useful. I think you will. And subscribe to the show if you haven't subscribed to the show. And look back at some of our other episodes. We've got some really cool shows, I think. So, Debbie, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Jones Zone. And I'm sure I will see you again, young lady. Take care.
Thank you so much.